SwayamPrabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Dear students, you are welcome in this class. I am Dr. Dinesh Kumar, Principal Scientist from Division of Agronomy, ICAR Indian Agricultural Research Institute, Pusa Campus, New Delhi. This lecture pertains to the course Agronomy of Oilseed, Fiber and Sugar Crops, and the title of the lecture is Nutrient, Water and Weed Management in Jute Crop. The learning objectives of this lecture are to get acquainted with nutrient and water management practices in jute crop. So in this case, we will see the major roles of different nutrients being played in growth and development of jute crop. What are the deficiency symptoms, under what conditions these kind of deficiencies occur, and also the water management of jute crop will be discussed, and then the detail related to weeds and their management will also be discussed. It will include broadleaf weed, narrow-leaf weed, and how they are managed in jute crop. Some glossary: adventitious roots, root that arises from any point other than the radicle, embryonic root or the root axis of a plant, available soil moisture or sometimes available soil water, difference in amount of water at field capacity that happens to be at minus 0.3 bar, and the permanent wilting point that comes at minus 15 bar pressure. So different in moisture percentage in these is called as available soil water or available soil moisture. Broadleaf weed, in contrast to grasses, these have wider leaves with net-like venation, dicots having two cotyledons or seed leaves. So these broadleaf weeds mostly belong to the dicots. Calcareous soil, presence of calcium carbonate in parent material and may have a calcic horizon, a layer of secondary accumulation of carbohydrates carbonates more than 15% calcium carbonate. Fiber strength, measured by breaking fibers held between clamp jaws. It is reported as gram per tex. A student can remember this unit. The strength is measured as gram per tex, TEX, which is force in gram required to break a bundle of fibers 1 tex unit in size. Mulching, layer of material applied to soil surface for conservation of moisture, improving soil fertility and reducing weed growth. Rosetting, this kind of symptoms are important, and short and bunchy growth habit due to shortened internodes and no comparable reduction in leaf size. So this kind of growth is called as rosetting, means bunchy growth. Sedges, any of a family Cyperaceae of tufted monocotyledonous marshy plants differing from related grasses. These are called as sedges. For example, Cypress species, Cypress rotundus, Cypress iria, Cypress deformis, these kind of weeds belong to family Cyperaceae. Now nutrient management. Let us understand what do we mean by nutrient management. So it is science and practice of managing plant nutrients for the optimum growth of plants or optimum growth of crop. So it basically aims to supply desirable quantity of nutrient as per crop's needs. So we try here to match the supply of the nutrient to the demand of the nutrient by the crop. That is called as optimal supply or optimal nutrient management. So nutrient can be supplied through variety of sources like organic manures or chemical fertilizer or biofertilizer, etc. Efficient nutrient management give maximum profit and protect environment by reducing losses. The basic purpose of nutrient management is to reduce the environmental pollution, increase the efficiency of the nutrients, and also increase the profit of the farmer. Let us start with nitrogen. Nitrogen is really very, very important for any plant, any crop, and it has a special value in jute crop and playing variety of roles. It gives greenness to the plants, part of chlorophyll, part of RNA, DNA. Variety of proteins need nitrogen, and of course chlorophyll. Chlorophyll requires nitrogen for its synthesis. It is part of the chlorophyll molecule. So variety of roles are played by nitrogen. Its deficiency can lead to reduction in growth, reduction in fiber yield, and other aspects. So what happens in deficiency is stunted with short and thin stems. Entire plant exhibits a green color, light green color, or chlorosis happens, and there is reduction in leaf growth or leaf size and also overall plant height and growth. It is basically mobile in plant, and it can easily be mobilized from lower leaves to the upper leaves. Therefore, deficiency symptoms of nitrogen comes on older leaves. Deficiency symptom appear primarily on older leaves. Initially, old leaves become pale green. This is the symptom, pale green, and then yellow, and finally develop necrosis. If there is severe deficiency of nitrogen, then necrosis means death of tissues in leaves can also happen. Eventually, affected leaves can die and fall off early from the plants. Now, what are the soil conditions that favor the nitrogen deficiency? So, soils having low in organic matter, because most of the soil in nitrogen is related to the organic matter. It is part of the organic matter. So, if organic matter is low in the soil, so will be the nitrogen. And also in light texture soils where leaching of nitrate can also happen, and this leaching can reduce the nitrogen content in soil. Or sometimes there may be excessive irrigation, and due to excessive irrigation or water logging, denitrification losses increase. Therefore, the deficiency of nitrogen can be there. And many times we go for intensive cropping, taking 3 crops, 4 crops in a year. So intensive cropping can also result in reduced nitrogen supply from the soil. Acid soils having pH below 6 or alkaline soils having pH above 8 may also experience nitrogen deficiency in jute crop. Let us check phosphorus. Of course, phosphorus is equally important as nitrogen. It is part of ATP, the energy bonds, adenosine triphosphate, diphosphate, and monophosphate. It is required in photosynthesis, energy is required in respiration, and phosphorus also part of RNA, DNAs, and so on. Certain proteins also contain phosphorus. So therefore, it has immense role in plant growth. Particularly, it influences root growth and flowering in plants. So therefore, its supply should be maintained to get the best growth. So let us check what are the deficiency symptoms of phosphorus. So plants are stunted and have short, thin stems, leaves small in size with dark green color. Here, interesting fact is that deficiency of phosphorus result in darker green color and deficiency of nitrogen pale green color. So quite contrasting deficiency symptoms. And reduced fiber and yield quality due to phosphorus deficiency, and mobile in plants, deficiency on older leaves, purple pigmentation or lower leaves, and delayed maturity. So it is also interesting that deficiency symptoms occur on the lower leaves and they are darker green in color. Then how to distinguish with the excess quantity of nitrogen? The excess application of nitrogen will also result in darker green color of the leaves. So here, in case of phosphorus deficiency, there will be pigmentation of leaves. You will get some purplish or reddish kind of color on the leaves, which is quite significantly indicate the deficiency of phosphorus. And also increase susceptibility of the plant to diseases and insect pests, reduce photosynthetic efficiency and nutrient uptake. What are the conditions where you get phosphorus deficiency? So naturally, some phosphorus in soils, most of phosphorus, or say more than 50% phosphorus in general, is part of organic matter. Again, like nitrogen, if your soils are deficient in organic matter, the soils will also be deficient in phosphorus. Another is you get too low or too high pH. Alkaline conditions, too alkaline condition or too acidic condition, phosphorus fixation may be there and the availability may be low in soils. So therefore, the best availability of phosphorus is actually from pH 6 to 7.5, and any pH which is too alkaline, too acidic will reduce the phosphorus availability in soil. Next is potassium deficiency. Potassium is not part of any organic molecule in the plant system, but it encourages the activity of certain enzymes. It is necessary for opening and closing of stomata. It maintains good water relations and it gives strength to the plant to fight insect pests and diseases. And also particularly under abiotic stresses, it helps to plant protect it against certain abiotic stresses. Therefore, potassium is also a necessary and essential element for plant growth. The deficiency symptoms include the retarded growth causing low fiber yield and quality, and premature crop senescence, rapidly translocated from older to younger leaves. So therefore, deficiency symptom of potassium also come on older leaves. Pale yellow interveinal chlorosis on older leaves. Pale yellow chlorosis turns into pale brown necrosis spreading from leaf edges. So the typical deficiency symptom of potassium are marginal firing and tip burning. You can see marginal firing and tip burning. Suppose this is the leaf. On this leaf here, the margins, on the margins both sides, there may be firing just like someone has burnt the leaf, and also on the tips. On the tips you will have burning symptom. So if deficiency is severe, necrosis advances rapidly into interveinal areas. So it starts with margin and it can move into the interveinal areas, turning bronze and necrotic, spreading from the margins. Fiber quality and strength is reduced. Reduced resistance of plants to pests and diseases and environmental stresses. Soil conditions favoring K deficiency. So soil formed from the parent material, which is basically low in potassium. Therefore, such soils may be low in potassium. Light texture soils where leaching can occur, particularly due to excess irrigation or excess rainfall. And soils low in organic matter may also be lower in potassium. Calcium deficiency. So young leaves may appear distorted or curved with irregular chlorotic patches. Growing points and root tips may become stunted. So this is very typical deficiency symptom of calcium. Stunted growth, stems may become brittle, weak or breakage of stems in severe deficiency cases of calcium. Reduced plant growth, weaker and less durable fibers. So overall it affects the quality and quantity of the fiber. Soil conditions favoring calcium deficiency. Naturally, in acidic soils where pH is low, calcium is deficient. Inadequate calcium level in the soil, imbalance with other nutrients such as excess potassium and magnesium can affect the availability of calcium or can reduce the availability of calcium to the plant. Poor soil drainage or waterlogged conditions and excessive use of ammonium-based fertilizer can result in calcium deficiency. Now see magnesium deficiency. Plants are stunted, thin and short stems. Fiber yield is reduced, fairly mobile in plants. Under reduced supply conditions, the deficiency symptoms will come on lower or older leaves. So young leaves do not suffer from magnesium deficiency. Chlorosis of old leaves, leaving veins green. Student must pay attention. The leaves will remain, interveinal area will become yellowish, but the veins will remain green and prominent. Affected leaves may die and drop, but it is mostly in case of lower leaves. Now you can see typical deficiency symptoms of magnesium: chlorosis, yellowing of older leaves, or interveinal chlorosis, reddish purple discoloration can happen, necrosis, the death of tissues, stunted growth, reduced yield, and susceptibility to other stresses. What are the soil conditions that favor the magnesium deficiency? Acid soils that have been leached by heavy rainfall, peat and muck soils low in total magnesium. So acid soils, like calcium is deficient, so is magnesium deficient in acid soils. Soils having higher quantity of calcium or potassium. Soils derived from parent material that is inherently low in magnesium. So under those conditions also one can experience magnesium deficiency. Acid soils having pH less than 6.5 and alkaline soil having pH more than 8.5 may also have low availability of magnesium. Sulfur is also very important nutrient, and in many areas of West Bengal now sulfur deficiency is being noticed in case of jute crop. So plants stunted, stems short and thin, fiber yield and quality affected adversely, immobile in plant. Therefore, deficiency symptoms will come on younger leaves and younger tissues. There is uniform chlorosis. So initially the entire plant appears pale green. Later pale green youngest leaves turn pale yellow. Uniform paleness appears on entire leaf, affecting both veins and interveinal tissues uniformly. Students get confused that in deficiency symptoms of nitrogen and sulfur, they are almost similar deficiency symptom. The only difference is that sulfur deficiency comes on younger leaves and the nitrogen deficiency comes on older leaves. So that is how we can make a difference in sulfur and nitrogen deficiency. What are soil conditions that favor the sulfur deficiency? It is soils low in organic matter. Again, some proteins contain organic matter. Protein contains sulfur, which are part of organic matter. Low organic matter means low sulfur. Light texture soils, sandy soils that have been leached by heavy rainfall or excess. Sulfate leaching can occur in light texture soils. Soils exhausted by intensive cropping, multiple cropping, you can have sulfur deficiency, and acid soils having pH less than 6 will also have sulfur deficiency. Now come to the iron deficiency, poor growth and reduced yields, immobile in plants. So deficiency appear primarily on younger leaves. So as was the case of sulfur, so is the case of iron. Here also deficiency symptoms come on younger leaf, and yellowness of the leaves happen. But how to make a distinction between iron deficiency and sulfur deficiency? In iron deficiency, interveinal area will get chlorosis, however veins will remain green. So that is how a student can make a distinction in sulfur and iron deficiency. So initially younger leaves are pale green to pale yellow, interveinal chlorosis in young leaves, pale yellow chlorosis in interveinal tissues, leaving veins dark green. But in sulfur deficiency, vein also become chlorotic. Prolonged short supply can cause pale yellow leaves turn dark yellow and faded veins. Severe deficiency, leaves chlorotic and then whitish. So these leaves can become white. On the right side, you can see the deficient leaves. They are getting chlorosis happens, yellowness in leaves, and then white color. They become whitish. So you can see iron deficient leaves on the right side. So what happens? Decreased chlorophyll and ferrodoxin, essential protein in transport of electrons in photosynthesis, result in chlorosis because of predominance of xanthophyll and carotene. So indirectly it is affecting the synthesis of the chlorophyll. Therefore, chlorosis happen in case of iron deficiency. What are the soil conditions that favor iron deficiency? Sandy soils having low total iron content, alkaline and calcareous soils where solubility of iron is very low. Peat and muck soils are also deficient where organic matter ties up iron and reduces availability. Means organic matter makes certain complexes with iron, therefore its availability is reduced. Acid soils with excessive high levels of soluble zinc, manganese, copper and nickel. So, these metallic cations can also reduce the availability of iron. They can hinder the uptake of iron despite high iron availability. Alkaline soils having pH more than 7.5, one will find iron deficiency. Zinc is getting very important nutrient in India. Approximately 50% soils are deficient in zinc. Therefore, under many conditions, it has become mandatory to apply zinc to correct the deficiency. So, what happens? Growth of plants adversely affected and plants get stunted. Reduced photosynthesis, carbonic anhydrase activity and chlorophyll concentration is also reduced. And short and thin stems, small leaves, lower fiber yields. So, hence you can see that zinc deficiency can result in reduced growth as well as reduced fiber quality. Now, zinc partly mobile in the plant system. It is not fully immobile and fully mobile. So, deficiency symptom first come on middle than on younger leaves, means initially it starts from middle leaf, then deficiency can be noticed on the younger leaves. So, intervenal chlorosis or mottling between secondary veins. Reduced size of younger leaves, leaves malformed, produce rosette appearance at top of the shoot. So, therefore, it makes the rosetting kind of symptom in jute crop. Now, overall what can be observed when zinc deficiency is there in jute crop? Stunted growth means reduced growth or shorter growth, intervenal chlorosis, shortened internodes, rosetting, irregular or distorted leaves, delayed maturity and reduced yield as well as quality of jute. Soil conditions that favor the zinc deficiency are leaching or leached light sandy soils where zinc is low. Alkaline and calcareous conditions also one can easily observe zinc deficiency. Recently leveled soils where subsoils exposed to cultivation. Soil in which the high rates of P fertilizers used. Acid soils with high pH with low pH less than 5 or alkaline soils with high pH that is greater than 7.5. One may have zinc deficiency under these conditions. Boron is also very important nutrient, particularly for fertilization of the crop and seed setting. So, younger leaves are thin than in normal plants. Severe deficiency results in deformed leaves, decrease in plant height and increase in some buddings. Because boron is transported via xylem, almost immobile in plant. So, symptom of deficiency could be seen on younger tissues and region. So, it cannot be redistributed from the lower leaves. Therefore, deficiency symptoms come on the young tissues or newly formed buds or areas of the plant. You can see the major deficiency symptoms of boron: stunted growth, terminal bud death, means growth will be stopped further, distorted and irregular growth, cracked and brittle stems, means weaker stems, leaf discoloration, reduced flowering and fruiting, and internal discoloration can also happen due to boron deficiency. So, boron deficiency symptoms, it impairs transport and action of growth regulators with an increase in indole acetic acid which inhibit vegetative development. So, you can see it can reduce the vegetative growth, and you can see on the right side the leaves of jute without zinc. You can see the control leaf. It is green and having good growth. It is having full length, but you can see when boron is deficient, you can see the twisting of leaves, change in color, chlorosis of the leaves and reduce growth of the leaves. Now, manganese is yet another micronutrient which is necessary for all the plants including jute. Typical symptoms of manganese deficiency are chlorosis, necrotic lesions, means the tissues which have died, stunted growth, distorted leaf shape. You have seen the leaf shape was distorted, it was not perfectly open. Reduced fiber quality and delayed maturity. Manganese deficiency symptoms may resemble other nutrient deficiencies or environmental stresses. So, sometimes there is confusion. These nutrient deficiency symptoms give us just indication that crop may be deficient in a particular nutrient, but many a times we may not be sure, because deficiency symptoms of one element or one nutrient can be similar to the toxicity symptoms of another nutrient. So, many a times these deficiency symptoms can be misleading also. So, overall, but they have their value. In many cases they are useful also. So, it may resemble, and thus proper soil and plant analysis recommended to accurately diagnose cause of the observed symptom. If one is not sure based upon the deficiency symptoms, then plant testing can be done to see the status of boron in the plant. If it is deficient, then boron can be sprayed onto the crop. Let us check the deficiency symptoms of manganese in jute crop. So, chlorosis is number one symptom, then necrotic lesions, stunted growth, distorted leaf shape, reduced fiber quality, and of course delayed maturity. Manganese deficiency symptoms may resemble other nutrient deficiencies or environmental stresses. So, many times these deficiency symptoms of manganese or any nutrient can be very confusing also. Deficiency symptoms of one nutrient can resemble the toxicity symptom of another nutrient. Under these circumstances, what can be done to be sure that it is manganese deficiency? Then we can go for tissue testing. We can go for chemical analysis of the leaves of jute plant, and once we are ascertained that this is manganese deficiency, then foliar spray can be made for manganese sulfate, can be used for foliar spray to correct the deficiency of manganese. Thus, proper soil and plant analysis recommended to accurately diagnose the cause of observed symptoms. Now, you see manganese deficiency symptoms on the leaf. This is control, and here you can see the yellowing of interveinal area, the reduced size of the leaf also when manganese is deficient in jute plant, and younger leaves are affected first. Chlorosis between secondary nerves in a cross-linked form. You can see cross-linked form, this side and this side, with a coarse green mesh on yellowish background, and reduced photosynthesis. So, overall, once the photosynthesis is reduced, leaf size is reduced, yellowing happens. So, photosynthesis will be reduced, which will result in reduced plant growth. Now, let us check the management, how best we can manage these nutrients. You have seen deficiency symptoms of different essential nutrients in jute crop. Now, how to go for management of deficiencies or management of nutrient in jute crop? So, important strategies for nutrient management are soil testing, conducting soil tests before planting, and based upon the soil tests, the nutrient recommendations are available, and then nutrient can be supplied. So, manure and fertilizer application is number 2 strategy, applying recommended amount of organic manures and nitrogen fertilizers. In any case, integrated management of nutrient is always better. Better to go for chemical fertilizer, organic manures as well as biofertilizer use in crops. Crop rotation and intercropping also have important role in nutrient management, because one can take leguminous crop in the rotation or as an intercrop, which can help to partly substitute or replace the nutrient requirement from chemical fertilizers. And irrigation management is also important, because the nitrogen management or any nutrient management have very close interaction with the water. Monitoring and then corrective measures for nitrogen management. Nitrogen fertilizer dose of 80 kg per hectare is recommended for low medium fertile soil. For high fertility conditions, recommendation is 40 to 60 kg nitrogen per hectare. Means if your soils are fertile, then you are required to add less nitrogen, which is 40 to 60 kg per hectare. If your soils are less fertile, low or medium in fertility, then apply 80 kg nitrogen per hectare to the jute crop. And then what could be the time of application? half recommended dose of nitrogen applied at land preparation and remaining half applied in 2 equal splits after weeding and thinning operation that can be applied 21 days and 35 days after sowing respectively. Higher doses of nitrogen causes a higher incidence of disease, particularly stem rot and insect invasion, particularly yellow mite, compared to recommended fertilizer dose. So, it is never advisable to go for excess application of nitrogen. It can also invite insect pests and diseases that can reduce the growth of the crop or that can have adverse effect on yield and quality of jute crop. Thus, it is always better to go for optimum rate application of nitrogen. Addition of organic matter improves soil physical, chemical and biological properties. If we supply nutrients through organic sources, inorganic sources, then not only nutrients are supplied by organic sources, but they also improve the physical, chemical and biological properties of the soil. Integration of organic sources and inorganic fertilizer or chemical fertilizer benefit crop in terms of growth and fiber yield and improve soil fertility on a long-term basis. Continuous addition of organic matter increase root biomass, higher root exudation and soil microbial activity. Because organic matter acts as a food for microbes and these microbes multiply when we freshly add the organic matter into the soil. Substitution of 25% recommended dose of nitrogen by farmyard manure improved the yield and quality. So, Mitra and co-workers 2010 reported that one can easily substitute 25% nitrogen by farmyard manure. Now, coming to phosphorus management, recommended dose of phosphorus for both Oletorious and Capsularis is 30 to 40 kg per hectare depending on soil fertility. So, this is somewhat recommendation for phosphorus application. And iron phosphate had been found to be the main source of phosphorus supply to jute, while aluminum phosphate is the main source of phosphorus in neutral clay alluvial soils. So, what happens? This phosphorus gets fixed in acidic soils at lower pH and it forms iron phosphate or aluminum phosphate. And when there is deficiency of phosphorus in the soil solution, then supply comes from these sources. Iron phosphate and aluminum phosphate supply this phosphorus to the soil solution. So, it is reversible in nature. Application of organic sources increases available phosphorus in soil. These organic sources on decomposition release certain acids which solubilize phosphorus, particularly in alkaline conditions. The phosphorus availability increases due to addition of organic matter. So, overall phosphorus management should focus on soil testing is number one, and based upon the soil test we should use fertilizer, recommended fertilizer, and also add organic manures to supply phosphorus, and adoption of appropriate cultural practices, drainage, soil aeration and pH management and foliar spray of the phosphorus can also be accomplished. Among all these, the pH maintenance is also important. If your soils are too much alkaline or too much acidic, then pH needs to be corrected to get the better availability of phosphorus. As many of the students might be knowing that maximum phosphorus availability is between 6 to 7.5 pH. So, pH should be somewhere slightly acidic for higher phosphorus availability. Potassium management. Jute had not been responsive to applied K in alluvial tracts as these soils are dominated by elite minerals, means they have sufficient level of potassium. In general, 30 to 40 kg per hectare of potassium K is per hectare is recommended in Indo-Gangetic plains for both Oletorious and Capsularis jute. However, new varieties of both jute responded up to 40 to 50 kg K per hectare under low to medium fertility conditions. So, these kind of results have been reported by CRIJAP, Central Research Institute for Jute and Allied Fiber, Barakpur. They have made number of studies and these results have been taken from their studies. Now, in summary, potassium management should focus on soil testing to determine K requirement, then application of K-rich fertilizers like potassium chloride or muriate of potash can be applied based upon soil test. Organic matter is also important. It helps in increasing the supply of potassium, and proper water management is also necessary because excess water application can result in leaching, particularly in sandy soils. And foliar feeding can be accomplished in case if soil application is not possible. Now, secondary nutrients, these are calcium, magnesium and sulfur, their management. Fiber yield of oleaginous jute GRO2 524 increased significantly with sulfur application up to 40 kg per hectare in Gangetic alluvial soils, particularly in West Bengal. Removal of sulfur is more in capsularis jute than in oleaginous. In northern parts of West Bengal, sulfur application at the rate of 30 kg per hectare 1.5 months prior to sowing increased fiber yield by 21 to 37%. So, we are getting response to sulfur application in jute. In alluvial soil, application of 10 kg per hectare of magnesium sulfate MgSO4 7S2O along with NPK N40, P20 and K20 kg per hectare produced an extra fiber yield of 0.3 ton per hectare. 0.3 ton means 300 kg per hectare over sole NPK application 40-20-20 kg per hectare. Foliar application of magnesium sulfate heptahydrate at the rate of 10 kg per hectare had increased the fiber yield. So, you see response to magnesium is also obtained, but it is mostly under acidic conditions. Application of sulfur increased the fiber strength, and application of calcium magnesium did not influence the fiber quality. Now, management of micronutrient, particularly zinc, boron, iron, etc. Application of zinc was found to increase the fiber yield of crop. Sarkar and Bandyopadhyay reported that application of borax 10 kg per hectare along with K 45 kg per hectare increased both the strength and fineness of jute fiber in Bengal. So, you can see this boron and potassium increasing the quality of the jute or the quality of the fiber. Yield response of jute to applied zinc and manganese were found to be up to 4 and 5 kg per hectare respectively in alluvial clay loam soil. This is in the form of metal, this is element zinc 4 kg per hectare and rate of manganese is 5 kg per hectare. Biofertilizers are also important. Seed inoculation with Azospirillum brasilensis or combined inoculation with Azospirillum brasilensis and Glomus macrocarpum increase the fiber yield. Soil application of arbuscular mycorrhiza fungi at lower peak application level was useful. This AM fungi increases phosphorus uptake by many crop including jute crop. It also does the job of absorption of phosphorus. It increases the root absorption area. So, more phosphorus uptake and it explores wider volume of the soil. So, it reaches a larger area of the soil, larger part of the soil and gets phosphorus to the plant. Seed treatment and soil application of azotobacter. PSB is phosphate solubilizing bacteria, Trichoderma viridi and P. fluorescens in decrease the disease incidence. So, in addition to adding some nutrients, these kind of biofertilizers also help in preventing the diseases. Now, let us see the water management in this crop. So, grown mostly as a rain-fed crop in India and about 80% area is sown with the help of pre-monsoon showers. Crop is exposed to deficit water stress during early phase of growth 60 to 70 days after sowing as evaporative demands exceed rainfall, particularly during the month of April and May. Reverse happen in later part of the crop growth and water logging is observed. So, that is the problem because crop is sown in March, April, rarely in May and it faces summer month, then it needs more water. So, drought conditions may be there and then flooding can happen. So, reverse happen. Young jute seedlings tend to wilt and flower early when subjected to low humidity or soil moisture. Consumptive water use of irrigated crop 3 to 6 irrigation at Barakpur range between 487 to 533 millimeter compared to 321 millimeter under rain-fed conditions. So, under rain-fed conditions, crop can suffer from water shortage. In some cases, pre-sowing irrigation is becoming essential to ensure uniform germination and good crop establishment. However, there can be some pre-monsoon showers also that can help for sowing of the crop. Application of irrigation at 50% available soil moisture of 60 centimeter soil depth is beneficial to the crop and needs 3 post-sowing irrigations during pre-monsoon season for both capsularis and oletorious jute. Corchorus capsularis varieties at an early stage of growth were found to withstand natural drought better than oletorious. So, you can see capsularis or white jute can tolerate both waterlogging as well as drought condition better than oletorious or tosa jute. Mulching with rice straw increased root length, reduced soil temperature and maintained higher soil conditions. Under moisture stress condition, it is advisable to go for mulching, which can conserve water and increase water use efficiency. So, mulching at 3 ton per hectare over row recorded 10% higher fiber yield of oletorious jute. Application of elemental sulfur at 30 kg per hectare, higher seed rate of 8 kg per hectare and 1 post-sowing irrigation gave 4 ton per hectare fiber and recommended in deficit rainfall years. Tosa jute varieties receiving irrigation based on IWCP ratio of 0.9 gave significantly higher fiber yield in South Bengal conditions. In seed crop, yield decreased by 70 to 80% as water stress significantly affected the yield attributing character in both capsularis and oletorious jute. Line sowing of jute at 8 to 10 kg per hectare seed rate in open furrows 8 to 10 centimeter depth using cultivator helped in collection of rainwater in furrows and ensure germination in deficit rainfall years. So, such kind of practices can be helpful under drought stress. Fiber yield and quality are severely affected by waterlogging also. Imposition of waterlogging in jute under pot condition at Barakpur reduced the plant height, basal diameter, leaf retention, photosynthesis and nutrient absorption. So, this crop is quite sensitive to water logging. However, provision of drainage led to 2 to 3-fold increase in fiber yield. Waterlogging adversely affected the key component of fiber quality like strength, length, fiber color, number of fiber layers in a fiber strand. Adventitious root start emerging in the basal region within 3 to 4 days of flooding, affecting the fiber quality. Fiber length and strength variety GRO 524 reduced by 11 to 43% and 12 to 55% respectively due to waterlogging. So, drainage should be made in under case of waterlogging. Experiment findings of the neighboring country Bangladesh are also there, which suggests that waterlogging should not be permitted in this crop. So, dear student, now see weed management. So, weeds can cause significant losses in jute crop if not properly managed. Competition for nutrients, water, light, they can harbor insect pest and disease, decrease the fiber quality, yield losses, increase the labor cost. So, number of harmful effects are there if weeds are not controlled. So, overall in one line you can say that weeds reduce yield and quality of the jute crop. Jute suffers from heavy weed infestation during early stage, which reduces fiber yield and quality. Critical period of crop weed competition is initial 15 to 60 days after sowing. Manual weeding is costly, incurring about 35% of the total cost of cultivation. You can see the major weed of jute crop is Echinocloa colonum L. A survey was conducted during early 80s on weed flora of jute in 5 jute growing states, West Bengal, Bihar, Assam, Odisha, and more than 190 weed species were identified in different parts of the country. And recently in 2014 to 2018, One survey was conducted on wheat in different states of India, and you can see the details, the species. For example, Echinocloa colonum, Echinocloa crucialis, Eleusine indica, these were the major weeds in different states. You can say Echinocloa colonum is common, Eleusine indica is common. Similarly, Digitaria sanguinalis. So these are the major weeds across different states, and these all are narrow-leaved weeds. Similarly, you can see same kind of weeds in all the states like Brachiaria reptans in Cynodon dactylan in Odisha and Commelina bengalensis in Assam. And you can see this is Eleusina indica for identification. This is Digitaria sanguinalis. You can see Brachiaria reptans and Cynodon dactylon. Many of you might have seen this doob grass, and this is Dactylonium aegypticum. And you can see some dicot weeds also in different states. So they are Trianthema portulacastrum, Physalis minima, Phyllanthus neruri, Digeria arvensis, Celosia argentina, Ludwigia ageratum and Micania. So variety of broadleaf weeds are there across the states. You can check these weeds like your Anagalis arvensis, Ludwigia parviflora, Mimosa pudica. Variety of weeds, broadleaf and narrowleaf weeds are found in this crop. So you can see this is Trianthema portulacastrum. This is your Physalis minima. This is Portulaca oleracea dicot weed. This is Scorparia dulcis. You can see Dioscorea alata, and this is Tephrosia candida, and many other weeds like sedges are also there, Cyprus rotundus, your F. milacea. So number of sedges are also there in jute crop. Like Cyprus rotundus, you can see this picture, many of you must be knowing it. This is F. milacea in jute crop. And now we go to the weed control. There are number of many methods to control weeds in jute. Preventive methods, cultural methods like proper seed bed preparation, crop rotations and intercropping, mulching, manual and mechanical methods, hand and machine weeding, chemical method, and of course integrated weed management. So in this case, preventive measures include use of clean seed that is free from weed seed. If our seed contains weed seeds, naturally we are bringing weed seeds into the feed. So we need to get the clean seed that is not having any weed seeds. Use well decomposed compost and farmyard manure. Many times farmyard manure or compost may also contain weed seeds if it is immature. So therefore we should take matured, perfectly processed farmyard manure or compost that is not having any weed seeds. So then we can avoid entry of weed seeds into the crop or into the soil. Destroy weeds before formation of flower. So 1 year seeding is you say 100-year weeding, means we should nip in the bud. Before the flower set or before the plant set seed, we should remove the weeds before it makes the seed. So destroy weeds before formation of flowers. Do not permit livestock to move from infested area to clean area. Many times livestock or animal can carry certain weed seeds to the new area, so that should be prevented. Proper cleaning of farm implements. So if you take farm implement from weed infested area to non-infested area, many weed seeds can be carried with them. So machines should be cleaned before sowing or before using in jute crop. Keep threshing yard free from the weeds. So many times when you go for threshing of the jute seed, so that floor or threshing area should be free from weed seed. It is to avoid mixing of weed seed in the seed of the crop. Follow legal and quarantine measures while importing crop seeds, grains or seedling. Now there are number of cultural methods through which we can control the weeds. So proper seed bed preparation is one of them. So thorough land preparation by plowing and harrowing eliminate existing weeds and create a clean seed bed. Crop rotations and intercropping are also helpful in suppressing the weeds in jute crop. Rotating jute with rice, wheat or legumes break the weed cycle and reduce the weed infestation. Jute intercropped with mung bean or peanut suppresses weed growth through shading and competition for resources. So intercropping of these leguminous crops in jute helps or act as a smoothing crop. So it suppresses the weeds. So therefore, one can get additional yield from the legumes, and also the weed suppression will be there. Then mulching is also important. So applying organic mulches like straw or rice husk suppresses the weed growth by blocking sunlight and preventing weed seed germination. So mulching has several advantages like conserving water. In addition to that, it prevents the germinating seedling of the weed plants. Straw mulching at the rate of 10 tons per hectare in inter-row spaces reduce weed biomass by 68 to 82%. Reduction of weed biomass means the growth of the weeds was suppressed or reduced as reported by Ghorai 2007. Manual and mechanical methods are also available for control of weeds in jute crop. So manual methods means by human beings. So hand weeding can be done by using khurpi or other implements. 2 manual weeding at 3rd and 5th week after sowing, or with hoeing at 15 days after sowing, and 2 hand weeding at 3 and 5 weeks after sowing. So this is how manual weeding can be done, and mechanical weeding can also be done with the help of machines using implements like hoeing machines, hoes, cultivators or weeders can be used as machines, and Krijaf nail weeder. Central Research Institute for Jute and Allied Fiber, Barakpur, developed a nail weeder, very cheaper equipment or cheaper machine, a low-cost portable weeder. It controls composite weed flora in inter-row spaces, saves manual labor and increases fiber yield. And not only this, it aerates the soil also for better, it results in better aeration of the soil in addition to the control of the weeds. So now you can see how this Kirchhoff nail weeder can be used. It is used in the inter-row spaces between 2 rows, and it is doing the hoeing operation. Now we have got some chemical methods also, chemical methods of weed control in jute crop. So one can use herbicides to control the weeds like pendimethalin, 30% EC, and it should be used at 0 to 3 days after sowing. The weeds which are controlled by pendimethalin include Digitaria sanguinalis, the major weed of jute crop, Chenopodium album or Chenopodium species, Argemone mexicana, Echinocloa cruzgelli, Amaranthus spinosus, Portulaca species. So you can see that this pendimethalin can control Digitaria sanguinalis, which is a broadleaf weed. Similarly, Chenopodium is a broadleaf weed, and also Argemone mexicana. So you can see at the same time it can control narrow-leaf weed which is Echinocloa. So it controls most of the broadleaf as well as narrow-leaf weeds in jute crop. The rate of application of this pendimethalin is 0.75 to 1 kg AI. AI is active ingredient per hectare. And it can be dissolved in 400 to 600 liters of water, and it should be sprayed onto the soil. One precaution must be taken that it is a pre-emergence herbicide. So it should be used immediately after the sowing of the crop, say within 1 or 2 days of sowing. Another important point about pendimethalin is that there should be sufficient moisture in the soil. If soil conditions are dry, then pendimethalin may not be useful because it moves in soil to control the weed with the help of the water. So these dry conditions should be avoided, and the rate of application is 0.7 to 1. Suppose for students, suppose the rate of application is 1 kg AI per hectare, and then it contains 30%. 30% is EC, emulsifiable concentrate. That means the active ingredient in this chemical or in this herbicide is 30%. That means you need to have more of this. You need to have about 3.33 liters of commercial product to supply 1 kg AI of pendimethalin. So this is how a student can learn calculations, how to make the calculation of the commercial product. Next is fluchlorelin, which is 50% EC, and it should be used as pre-plant, means before sowing it should be applied or sprayed onto the soil, and it must be incorporated. If it is not incorporated, it may not be very effective, because the photo decomposition of this herbicide can happen and it rendered less effective. It can control both grassy weed as well as dicot weed. The Digitaria sanguinalis is dicot weed or broadleaf weed, and Echinocloa crusgelli is monocot or narrowleaf weed. The quantity of active ingredient should be 1 kg AI per hectare, and it should be dissolved in relatively larger volume of soil, say 750 to 1000 liters per hectare, and it should be sprayed before sowing, incorporated in the soil. The other pre-plant application herbicide is trifluralin, 48%, and it controls most grassy weeds and broadleaf weeds. The rate of application is 0.75 to 1 kg AI per hectare. Another herbicide is phenoxaprop P-methyl. It is 10% and it should be applied 21 days after sowing. So, phenoxaprop P-methyl is post-emergence herbicide. It controls grassy weeds and the dose is 75 gram AI per hectare. You can see the dose of application is quite low, just 75 gram AI per hectare, and it should be mixed in 500 liters of water and sprayed. Another herbicide is quizalafop ethyl. Quizalafop ethyl. It is coming in 5% EC, means this active ingredient is just 5%, and it is applied post emergence, means 21 days after sowing. This quizalafop ethyl should be applied, and it is effective against the grassy weeds, and dose of application is 50 gram AI, only 50 gram AI. Now, low dose herbicides are also coming, and it should be mixed in 500 liters of water and sprayed after the emergence of the weeds. So, then comes finally the integrated weed management approach. You have seen some preventive measures, some cultural measures, some mechanical measures, and also you have seen the chemical measures. When we combine the best options together, it becomes integrated weed management. The basic purpose of integrated weed management is to reduce the application of chemicals, to increase the environmental security, safety, and also to increase the income of the farmer and also the soil health, being many purposes of integrated weed management. So, integration of cultural, mechanical and chemical weed control methods is the best way to manage weeds. Some recommended practices are weed control methods. For example, 2 hand weedings can be done at 3 and 5 WS. WS means weeks after sowing, and then there is no herbicide application in this case, and one can combine the butachlor 50% EC and 1 hand weeding at 20 days after emergence. It has been reported by Jaina and co-workers 2017 and Ghorai et al. 2013. So, you can see that this integrated weed management practices are environment friendly and soil health friendly and also farmer friendly, means they can deliver more profit to the farmers. And you can see another example, mulch at the rate of 10 ton per hectare, red and white amaranth reddish means intercropping, jute plus red white amaranth, Krijaf nail weeder twice, and it can be done 2 times at 5 to 6 days after emergence and 10 days after emergence, and 1 hand weeding means intercropping can be combined with hand weedings, or you can see nail weeding or hoeing can be combined with hand weeding, etc., etc. So, number of integrated weed management options are there. So, dear student, I hope you enjoyed this lecture very much. So, thank you.